G'day, I'd like to show you my hammock. I like camping and I've been camping in my car and tents for a while, but saw hammocks, thought I'd give them a go. So I pretty much bought one from Bunnings, hardware shop, which I think 39 bucks. And I've been looking on YouTube at a whole bunch of videos and how-tos, and I've made a few modifications, so let's have a look. Okay, we'll just start with an overview. Essentially, I've got it strapped up in my backyard just with some rope, which I got some Bunnings, cost me about $6 for 25 meters. And essentially I've just looked on YouTube at how to tie a few knots. I've tied it up to there, runs down, used a, a marlin spike hitch to the carabiner, and the carabiner, the rope, comes with the hammock. Runs all the way through the other end, exactly the same on the other end. Rope, carabiner, and some more rope just going up to there. So basically it's a, what's it called, a 2 trees hammock. The dimensions are 180 by 275, 200 kilo capacity, and it cost me $39 from Bunnings. So essentially that's how it comes. It's just a hammock, comes out of the packet. It folds up into the bag, which is attached, so you can't lose it. But obviously the modifications that I've tried to do, well, the first one was to basically just put in a ridge line, and everyone that looks up on YouTube can see that you take the length of your hammock, times it by 0.83, so 83% of the length of the hammock, and that's what you make your ridge line out of. So that's the first thing that I did, and it just gives me a nice hang. It's nice to lie in it, beautiful. So the first time I got into it, I was lying around one afternoon, and the sun started to go down and it got a bit cold. And as anyone who owns a hammock knows, you lie in it and the wind blows, and right underneath you there gets nice and cold. So looked up online, of course, and the first thing I found was, why not just get the sleeping bag and put it around. Now my sleeping bag, luckily, comes with a zip on the bottom. It's got 2 zips, so one zip can undo and it opens up a hole at the bottom, and through which I threaded the hammock. But the problem is, the only thing that keeps the sleeping bag on the hammock is the zip. So every time you want to get in and out, you undo the zip and the sleeping bag falls onto the ground. And the second thing, I guess, is that once you do the zip up along the top, you'll find that the sleeping bag obviously becomes the sleeping bag, very snug, and you can't really get the diagonal lay, which everyone talks about, getting nice and flat within the hammock. So woke up this morning, a bit more YouTube, looked around and decided that I'll make an underquilt. So basically this is a rectangular sleeping bag, nothing fancy, there's no hood, but we'll just start with the top. The first thing that you can see here is that I've cut a little piece off, and that piece that I cut off was in fact just this little toggle here, and this let's call it a channel or a tube, for lack of a better term, runs around the neck of the sleeping bag, and that's so that when you sleep in it you can tie it up around your neck and keep all the warmth in. So what I've done is basically I've used that channel and I've threaded through some nylon string, and that actually came as a kit. So let me show you that. It's actually called a lacing needle and cord shade cloth accessory. Comes from a company called Coolaroo, 25 meters, and I actually used this for a project I did for making window socks for my four-wheel drive, so that I could have some privacy while I sleep in my car camping. It also allows me to wind my windows down and keeps all the bugs out. So that's how it comes. You get a little needle, I guess, thread it through, and you just, I don't know, stitch whatever you want, I guess, and that's how it is. It just comes in a roll, 25 meters. It's to be used with shade cloth, so I guess it's you know, designed to put up with UV light and that kind of thing, but for my purposes I think it's pretty good, and plus I just had it lying around. but that was $16 from the hardware shop. So essentially I used the needle, and I had to make a little hole in here in this end, and I basically just threaded the line through, come out the other end, and I've just used this little toggle which I had lying around, and I just tied it to the end, and that just sits in there. The toggle just stops it from falling through the hole there. So basically what I can do now is pull the string and it'll draw up around my neck. This is my head end, and so I've just kind of retrieved this, used this toggle again, and basically I can pull it tight, and then that'll just clamp onto the string and just keep it nice and snug. And I've just done the same at the other end. Now I haven't stitched anything on here. All I've done is I used the needle and I've pushed it in to this black seam here, and instead of so on the other end it had the loop, but on this end it doesn't have the loop. So all I've done is I've just used the actual sleeping bag itself as the means by which the thread will pull up on itself. So when I pull up on the thread, you can see that the sleeping bag gathers up around the end. And if I pull it really tight, a bit hard to do with one hand, pull it up really tight, that goes all the way closed. And so all I've done to keep the sleeping bag from pulling down towards this end is just to use the toggles, and I've just looped them through this through the end of the cord on the hammock there. So that just stops it from looping down. So that's both ends that I can pull and pull up around the sleeping bag. And the other thing that I've done is, I'll start from this side, is I've got a little bit more of that same rope twine, and I've just done a just a basic slip knot on the carabiner that runs the length of the sleeping bag. Now again, all I've done is I've just poked the needle through that lacing, that seam there, so it just goes in there, and I've basically done it so that it runs on the inside of the zip. So if I want, I can still zip the sleeping bag up, and the whole hammock will just be enveloped by the sleeping bag. So all that does is just run along the seam there, all the way up. It pops out the other end, again through that, I'll try and get in the light, just through, actually there was a little bit of an opening there anyway, so I've just tried not to maim the sleeping bag too much, tried to use what's there, and that just simply comes out, goes up around the carabiner. It's one continuous loop, goes up around the carabiner, just like that, and then down through the other side, does exactly the same thing. Goes in through a little hole I made with the needle, runs the length of the sleeping bag all the way through there. This side of the sleeping bag actually has a little baffle, which when it's used as a sleeping bag just keeps the air from coming in and out of the zip. So luckily enough, the twine just goes through there, comes out the other end. It's a little bit of a hack job, but seems to serve its purpose. And then that just comes up to the carabiner. What I've done is I've just tied a little loop and around a stick, and that just keeps it there. And then when I want to pull it, I've actually got it down at the moment because I've been getting in and out of the hammock, and when these cords are too tight, I just find it's a little bit difficult to get in and out of the hammock. So that they're a bit loose at the moment, but when I pull it tight, you can see that the side, the left-hand side goes up. I push it down again, and the left-hand side goes up. And then I just tie it off again when I want to get in, and that just keeps it all wrapped up nicely around me. So I'll do that now. So there's where I did have it tied, and I've pulled it that much. And I've just made another loop within the line, as you can see there, and I've just stuck that twig that I found on the ground through, and that just holds it. So you can see, oh, you know, see, look at that massive fly. Check it out. It's gigantic. Go away. The if I pull on one side, because it's simply looped through the carabiner at the other end, you see one side goes down, one side goes up, and that I've found just by pure fluke helps me to get in and out of the hammock. So what I can do is push down on this side to get in as the hammock, and you can see the other side goes taut and becomes a little higher, and then as I let go it goes down and I can just put it backwards and forwards like that. So once I'm in, nice and cozy. So I had this sleeping bag just lying around. I had the what they call it, the lacing needle and cord just lying around. So I don't know what sleeping bag, you can get one of those for maybe 40 bucks or something off eBay. It's just a summer one, it's nothing fancy. And the yeah, $15 from Bunnings for that. The toggles I actually bought because I was going to use them for a tarp, which that's my next project. So all up, the sleeping bag was about 40. Sorry, the hammock was 40 bucks, and the line I think was about $6. So really, other than the stuff that's been lying around, that's all I've spent. So when I get in, I'll show you what it's like. Yes, welcome back in the hammock. So you can see if I push down on one side, the other side goes up, and if I push down on that side, the other side goes up. What I've done is I've just got this bag which that packs into, just flip it over, just keeps that sag out the way. There's a little bit of sag on the other side there, but usually I'm on a bit of a diagonal. There you go. Now you can see that the sleeping bag, I've just got the toggles with which I use to make the that end of the sleeping bag taut, and I've just tucked them up into one of the loops that happens to be up there. That just keeps the sleeping bag from slipping down. So there's my feet, come all the way up. This is level with my head, and you can see the sleeping bag actually goes past my shoulders. And so I've got that toggle there which I can keep it nice and tight. There's the zip if I want to do it up, or if I want to use it as a sleeping bag again. And that's it, nice and cozy. So my intention basically is to, after looking online, is to use this as an underquilt and then get another sleeping bag and put my feet on top of it. And just do the zips up at the bottom, put my feet in, and then use it as a top quilt. Okay, so there's the money shot. You can see the top end here, the sleeping bag's going all the way up. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of lighter on this side and darker on this side. Just here, that's where the sleeping bag is. So it comes down right above my shoulders. Perfect for me. And it's so warm in here. It's a warm day today here, about 40 kilometres north of Melbourne. Sun's shining, beautiful. So this really isn't a how-to video, it's more of a cry for help if anything else. I've only really had this hammock for a couple of weeks, being online, looking at stuff, trying stuff out. And so basically, if anyone's got any ideas or ways I can do things better, please let me know. I'm always willing to learn. Anyway, I hope this helps someone. Cheers.